Wakes the snap, clap his hands, near side, airs it out, has it, caught in by Hendricks, avoids a man to the 10, to the 5, he's in! Touchdown! Touchdown! Indiana State! Dante Hendricks turns on the Jets and into the end zone! Welcome back to the Curt Mallory Show. Following a win against the Youngstown State Penguins, now setting up for a big-time home matchup with South Dakota this weekend at Memorial Stadium. We hope to see you there. I'm Luke Martin alongside the head coach, Curt Mallory. Coach, congratulations on a phenomenal win in Youngstown, Ohio. I know you always have to turn the page quickly and focus on the next opponent, but just for a moment, what was it like to be in that locker room with your team, to go from losing big a year ago to getting a big win on the road?
Well, it was a great team win. Teams worked extremely hard. They've rallied around each other. They're playing extremely hard. We've said it all along. If you battle and play hard, we'll have a chance in every game, and that's what it's looked like the last throughout the season.
How much more did it stand out about what your team was able to do, knowing you're without your top two options at tailback? And you can even throw in, you've been without an OK Moala since the first game in the Missouri Valley Football Conference season. There are names you can continue to throw out there. Michael Thomas, Rontrez Morgan. You've been without a lot. But why does your team continue to find reasons to win, not excuses to lose?
You know, it's been the all-in mentality. And these kids have bought in. They're all in. We are always talking about we need everybody. They believe that. They know that. And they're ready to go when it's their time to go.
Us internally, I know, have been waiting for a game like we saw over the weekend from Dante Hendricks, because we've seen the talent that he has each and every week in practice. You knew the talent he had a year ago before getting injured. To see a kid being able to break through, almost kind of similar in how Rontrez Morgan did it against South Dakota State. What's that mean for you as a coach, as a young man that recruited him, to see him have a day that internally in practice, you've seen him make those plays all the time, and he finally was able to do it in a big game?
Well, Dante's done a great job. He's come through some adversity. Got injured last year right before the Eastern Illinois game. Worked extremely hard in the off season, and is really playing well for us.
I feel at times, to a group on that offensive side that, of course, gets overlooked as the offensive line, but it was a main talking point last week that this was going to be a game that you were really going to find out how much better you were up front. They answered that task, I think, in resounding fashion.
You know, they've really come together. They're playing well together, and that's important. Knock on wood, we've had very, very few injuries. We've been able to develop some unity there, good cohesive group. They're working really well together, and it's showing up front.
We've seen Big Tuna being able to move down the field for some blocks. You ever think about giving him a number change and putting him at tailback?
Don't even bring that up right now.
We'll switch to the defensive side. You talk about guys who fly around, play with all types of effort. I don't want to just signal one guy out, because it does take all 11 on the defensive side, but I really think you can look at almost every play and go, there's 46. Mm-hmm. What is it about Jonas Griffith that his motor never seems to turn off? But how now your biggest challenge to him this year was spread it out. Make sure your teammates start to feel off of that. How has he been able to answer that challenge?
You know, he's having a very good year. And you mentioned it, the other 10 guys are really playing hard, really swarming the ball, and that's been our identity. Obviously, Jonas and Cottrell are leading the conference in tackles, but you got 9 other guys that are just swarming the ball. And Jamal Jones is second in the country in fumble recoveries. That doesn't just happen by not playing hard. He's always around the ball. Great things happen when you do that. And we got 9 other guys that are doing that, and that's what makes the defense doing what they're doing.
A defensive line group depth has been tested this year, but we saw Cade Perrott really probably have his best game. Pashawn Powell as well, who wasn't even a scholarship guy for you a year ago. Now he is, after you awarded him in fall camp a year ago, got hurt, battled back, and had his best game in his Sycamore career. Do you really feel that defensive group up front, and maybe not just up front, but they're starting to really figure it out, and they're starting to put together their best performances of the year at a critical time?
Well, they're active. They can move, and they're getting a lot of good experience. You know, we're having, Stephon Mays is in there doing some really good things. Cade Perrott's done some really good things. We had Caleb Brewer out last week. We'll have him back this week. He's doing some really good things in there. And you mentioned Rex and Pashon. Those guys obviously are active inside, but always starts up front in the plays that they're able to make by getting off blocks. That's where you really see them, and then getting to the football.
I feel even some young guys like Chris Reed Jr. Have been able to show their worth, too, after being out with a high ankle sprain.
Having Chris back really helped. We got about 15 to 20 snaps out of him. We'll get more out of him this week. But getting him back in the fold has really helped.
One of my favorite messages that I've heard from you at practice this year was you told your guys when October started, it will fly by. Yep. You think you have a lot of time left in this season, it's going to fly by. 3 weeks are left now. What's your message to your team as you begin the month of November, which I hear coaches all the time talk about, this is winning time?
Well, it is. October does fly by, but November is what you'll remember. And that's a cliche I've heard since I was playing, and this is the time will tell. And obviously it starts this weekend.
Starts this weekend against South Dakota. It's a group that, of course, made the playoffs a year ago, has made a lot of strides. They've lost Chris Strevler, but they still really like their quarterback and Austin Simmons and the offensive group they have. What are the biggest challenges that the Coyotes will really force you this weekend, and will be one of the reasons why it's going to be another week where it's going to be a hard-fought battle in this league?
Yeah, they go fast. They tempo. They'll speed up things at times. Got good running backs. Quarterback does a great job managing the offense. Their skill is tremendous, but they can score at any time. They're a very explosive offense. A lot of these guys we faced a year ago.
Coach Mallory, the reason you guys have been able to have success this year, how much credit do you give to that you've never changed your message? And that even goes to a year ago. Coaches all the time talk about in their rebuilding efforts, the reason we're a championship program now is because we acted like a championship program at the very beginning. How much is your program really? I'm sure there are things you've tweaked and done a little bit differently, but knowing the underlining message, the underlining way you run this program hasn't changed since a year ago.
Well, our message has been consistent. We take it 1 week at a time, and that's been the approach. That was the approach on Sunday. It was the approach on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But we had to come out and have a great week of practice, and that's been the focus.
Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck this weekend against the Coyotes, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks.
Once again, that was head coach Curt Mallory. For more on Indiana State football, you know where to stay. It's right here at GoSycamores.com.